Okay. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us today. We have got another great affiliate associated with us. You get to learn a little bit more about AUSA. And with us is the Vice President of Membership and Meetings, Brigadier General retired Jack Haley. He has got more than 30 years of Army experience on tours with the Army Human Resource Command, White House, Pentagon, Army Material Command, and on and on and on. As you'd imagine, a very illustrious career and now in his current form is continuing his ability to serve through AUSA. So, Jack, thanks so much for your time today. Looking forward to the presentation and looking for the opportunity to talk a little bit more through some questions and answers. So, over to you.
Awesome, great. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Our association partner program is something that we've really spent a lot of time and effort on, and TFGON was a great is a great partnership and was a great choice to join us. Like I said, I retired in 2017. I was an ordnance officer in the Army, a logistician for all 30 of those years, and then I worked in industry for 4 years. I was the chief executive officer for an electronics company, Miltope, that does rugged electronics, mostly for the Army, but does some commercial aviation as well. I did that for 4 years, and like all of us, when you retire, it's like job or location, right? So I went for the job. The location, my wife was not digging. It was Montgomery, Alabama. And we probably got some Air Force guys out here that have spent some time in Montgomery. And so, I actually moved the company headquarters and our R&D up to Huntsville, but, made sense. It was a predominant, the Army's a predominant customer. But at the end of the day, my wife was like, no, not digging Alabama. So we have 2 kids that were in the DC area. So I moved back here and I ended up at AUSA. And like you said, it was just a phenomenal organization to be able to continue to serve. And the command climate at AUSA, I mean, you got General Bob Brown, our CEO. If you don't know him, I mean, he's just absolutely phenomenal leader and boss. The former SMA, former Sergeant Major of the Army, Dan Daly is my battle buddy. And then Lieutenant General retired Les Smith, the former TIG of the Army, the Inspector General is the other VP here. So we got just a tremendous team. And if you didn't, AUSA Nationals, we have about 89 full-time employees. I would say maybe 10% have served in the military, which really surprised me when I got here. But at the end of it, it's really refreshing. I mean, we got a lot of young, energetic, creative folks. And as long as, we're smart enough to get out of their way, they come up with really, really good ideas. So I got about, 10, 15-minute presentation and then questions, throughout or at the end, however you guys want to do it. All right, I'm going to try to navigate the slides here. So, yep. Okay, so this is our 75th year. We were organized in 1950. It was really, the Army looked at all of the different branch associations that it had, Infantry Association, Field Artillery Association, and they were all kind of not necessarily working together in some cases. So they created the Association of the United States Army as a professional development association that serves the Army. Our first president was the vice chief while he was on active duty. And they realized, the lawyers got involved and said, hey, probably not a good idea. And then ever since, it's been a retired 4-star. But our vision is really to be that premier military association that supports the total Army. All right, so we have Angus, NAUGUS, ROA. You have all these other organizations that support their components, but AUSA supports the total Army. And we get some pushback from that too. We're like, yeah, you say you support the total Army, but really you spend a lot of time, most of the time, on the active component. And that's a fair critique. But we do a lot for the Guard and the reserves as well, and I'll talk about that. But our mission, we have be a voice for the Army, support soldiers. We do it along 3 really lines of operation: educate, inform, and connect. So you'll probably hear that a couple times throughout. This chart we call our compass chart. I know you may not be able to read it that well, but again, it's a really good chart that just shows a lot of what we do, and I'll get into some of the details. But again, the vision on the left to be the Army's professional association, that be that premier association. Our mission in the middle of the compass: educate, inform, and connect. And then the key tasks on the right. Again, the total Army, telling the Army story. Army is terrible at telling its own story. It's not in the Army's DNA. Unlike the Marine Corps. I don't know if we have any Marines online, but Marine Corps, I think they have a public affairs officer in every rifle squad. But the leadership and professional development, that's what we're all about. It's all about education, really, for AUSA. Connecting the Army with America. We do that through a variety of ways. 122 chapters across 9 regions. And we're up to, tomorrow, I think we're going to break 1.9 million members. And the width, the depth, the breadth of the chapters, that's really our center of gravity. They're the ones that help us connect America with the Army. We got chapters out in the middle of nowhere, not near any major installation, but they're connecting with their community through community partners, the recruiting stations, companies, battalions, and then of course the Guard, and the reserves in every state. So really the chapters is who does that for us for the most part. Gaining support from Congress, industry. We do have a small government affairs section. I'll talk a little bit about them that are registered lobbyists and do advocate. And then industry and academia with the Army, that connection point. We do that throughout and mostly through our events. So let me just talk a little bit about some of the things that we do that many of you are familiar with. But, our symposia, we have 4 symposia throughout the year. Land Euro is our newest one. We just added that this summer. But Global Force down in Huntsville, Alabama, usually in the March, April timeframe. And that one is, our planning partner, Army Materiel Command, Army Futures Command. And it's acquisition, sustainment focused for the most part. Land Pack, Honolulu, not bad. We're in Honolulu every May with U.S. Army Pacific. And that's a big allied partnership event for USERPAC and for us. And it's all about operations in the Indo-PACOM AOR. Land Euro was modeled after Land Pack, and we just did it. Phenomenal. We were talking about it earlier. There's a lot of folks that are interested in Europe. And there's a lot of U.S. defense companies that are really interested in Europe now, especially as they look at the landscape on the Army side, kind of a flat budget. So they're very interested in NATO and in events in Europe. And then, of course, our granddaddy, the annual meeting coming up here in about 50 days. This year, we're celebrating the Army's 250th anniversary at our annual meeting, and to the lesser extent, our 75th. But General Brown really wanted to focus on the 250th. So those are our big symposia. But the other things that we do, if you weren't familiar with, we do noon reports, they're webinars. We'll bring in authors. We've had Petraeus come in, talk about his book, The Crystal, and other mostly Army officials, but sometimes we've brought in academics and industry as well. And then our hot topics, these are one-day events that we do here in our headquarters in Arlington that are, a hot topic, right? So it'll be a day on Army aviation. It'll be a day on the industrial base, Army contracting, and it'll be panels and keynotes and that type of thing, but just one day. And the one I really like is the CERT, the Senior Executive Roundtable. Closed door, Chatham House rules, no press. We open up with a little social, so there's a bar there, people can have a drink if they like. And then it's mostly industry, some academia, but mostly industry, and then senior Army officials. And I tell you, the conversation is frank. It's kind of no holds barred. It's, can be confrontational at times, but we moderate it. And I tell you, we really get a lot out of those. And I think the Army and industry get a lot out of those. So stop me if you guys got questions. So we also have a speakers bureau, and it's a collection of, retired senior general officers, command sergeants major, some industry folks, some folks from academia that are volunteers that we make available to our chapters should they want to bring in a speaker. We actually have a number. So we have the speakers bureau, We also have leadership fellows. We have about 45 leadership fellows, and these are all on our website. And then we have family fellows that can talk, that are senior Army spouses that have kind of seen it all. So we have a variety of, and some of you may be on that. I didn't actually check. Some of you may be on some of those in those fellows programs, but they're very. It helps our chapters get become relevant. If they're struggling in their particular areas, they can bring in a big name, kind of in, at least in the Army world, to come in and talk about a variety of topics, and it gives those chapters immediate relevance. And then recently we entered in a partnership with the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, to talk about strategic land power. This was really, we obviously, as the Association for the U.S. Army, talk about land power all the time. But what we didn't, as the national defense priorities, as they shift, not shift, they've been that way, looking at the Pacific for a number of years. A lot of times, it's like, what's the Army got? The Army's got no business out there. That's a Navy, AOR, Air Force. So General Brown wanted to kind of open up the aperture, bring in like a think tank that we could partner with to talk about and further the discussion. So there you can see Tom Carrico and General Flynn in the photo there. So that's actually been pretty successful. We try to do those about once a quarter. We publish, right? So papers, land warfare papers, essays, spotlights, special reports. We do a profile on the U.S. Army that we're updating right now. All of these are available to our members, and chapters can actually order them. We have a book program, which the Medal of Honor graphic novels. If you haven't checked those out, they're on our website. You can look at them. I can get you paper copies. So we take a Medal of Honor recipient, and it's that recipient's, that hero's story told in a short graphic novel. Very popular, with JROTC, ROTC, and honestly, they're just really good. So I'd point you to there if you haven't seen those. And then we're always looking for people to write. One of the things we had talked about was, what can TFGON do to support AUSA? We're always looking for articles. We're always looking for people to write, whether it's in the Army magazine, whether it's on our web, our digital publications, or if you're writing a book and you need a publisher, you could come to AUSA and we could certainly either talk about it or get you linked up with folks. So that's kind of all the hard copy. This is the online in your inbox every week. You should be seeing, if you remember through the association partnership, you should be seeing AUSA Extra. It's a weekly newspaper, really, not a newsletter. Talks about Army topics. I mean, it does have some AUSA stuff in it, but it's mostly focused on what's going on in the Army. Every Monday morning, we come out with 5 things, AUSA's 5 things. Basically the top 5 things that are going on that week or the past week. We update our headline news items on the website every day. And then we're also active on Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, all the social media. But this is really our flagship, publication, the Army magazine. A lot of people think the Army publishes this, but no, we publish it, full editorial staff. Right now we have about a 65,000 distribution for that. So, I mean, of that 1.9 million members, only about 65,000 are getting hard copy magazines. But we're not to a point yet where we're going completely digital. So that comes out monthly, and then the October edition is called the Green Book. That's where our staff interviews all of the Army senior leaders, Secretary Chief, SMA, all of the ACOM commanders. All have interviews in there. They talk about their priorities and strategy really for the next year. So that's really a good issue, is the October issue. We have a podcast hosted by SMA Daily and General Smith. It's really pretty good. They do some humorous stuff. They bring in all sorts of people from across the spectrum that support our military. And it's actually, we're seeing downloads going up. So again, he asks you where you guys could support, listen to a podcast on your way, to wherever you're going. The Center for Leadership. This is General Brown's baby. He initiated this when he took over AUSA about 4.5 years ago. It's a passion of his. So what the Center for Leadership, it's designed to provide leadership development, instruction, training to soldiers, really focused at brigade and below. We're not trying to duplicate, replicate, what the Army is doing, but it's a realization that the Army never has enough time or money, to spend on leader development. So, we're trying to fill that gap. And again, this is where those leadership fellows come in. The Center for Leadership organizes it, and puts these events on, and I'll show you in a second. And then, and our chapters leverage that. They've done a lot of leadership training with the Guard and Reserves. I would say more with the Guard than the Reserves, and then both of them more than active. And then the Young Professionals Program, that's the future of AUSA. That's our attempt to try to bring in, our demographics skew older, obviously, so we're trying to build the bench with young professionals and then bring them in, invite them to our events. Again, one thing we've found that young professionals crave is leadership development. So, that's something that is certainly in our toolbox that we can provide for them. So, this is, again, the Army Leadership Program, again, focused brigade and below. They do a lot with ROTC, West Point. The big event that they do is the Leader Solarium. That's the top picture there that you see with, that's General George and SMA. And they're getting basically bottoms up feedback from junior officers at our annual meeting. They spend 3 days at the annual meeting. The chief gives them a wicked, problem, and then they come back and back brief them with their solutions. We've done that for the last 3 years, and it's just been really successful. The chief loves it. And then so that's Solarium, and we only do that at annual meeting, but we also do leadership forums at all our other events, LAMPAC, Global, and Land Euro. And then we just started the Corporate Leadership Program. We're like, you know what, we could monetize this, right? This is gold. All this leadership experience that we have, that we can offer corporate America lessons in leadership. And we just completed our first customer, Leonardo DRS, and it was a 2.5 day. It's 3 parts. The first part was 2.5 days here in our headquarters. Next part is up in Gettysburg, and then I can't remember where the third part is, but really, it's a realization that we have this, that corporate America craves it. We're really kind of focusing more at mid-level management, not necessarily the C-suites, because there's lots of folks that are doing that. But there's not a lot of folks in the mid-level management and those mid-level leaders. So that's really what we're focused on there. And we'll bring in speakers. That's the bottom picture. That's James Kerr. He's the author of Legacy. Was it Legacy? Yeah, Legacy, the story of the All Blacks. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal. One of the best leadership books I've ever read. He came in. He's tough to get. I talked about our government affairs. We'd come out with focus areas. This shows 24. We have 25 focus areas. This goes out to all of our members. Goes out. It's just public. This is what AUSA is focusing on the Hill. And the first one, and it hasn't changed since I've been here, is on-time appropriations and authorizations. So that one's probably not going to change in the near future. And then a lot of the other ones kind of align with the current Secretary-in-Chief's priorities, right? War fighting, continuous transformation, strengthening profession. And then there's a bunch of sub-bullets. And there's a lot that goes behind this that you don't see. But, this is a good leveler, for our 122 chapters. When they go talk to their local politicians, we're all talking, the same language. So we have family readiness. Actually, SMA Daly's wife, Holly Daly, runs our family readiness directorate. They do a lot of support to chapters. They partnered with this other nonprofit called Operation Deploy Your Dress. and they basically have ball gowns, tuxes, formal wear that they get, and they either donated, but most of them are new from they have bridal gowns. David's Bridal like donate stuff, and the intent is we don't want our young soldiers to not be able to go to a ball, an army ball or a regimental dinner because they don't their wife doesn't have a ball gown, or whatever, the spouse doesn't have the appropriate wear. So they have they actually have stores at about, I don't know, 10, 15 installations across the Army. And they're free, completely free. Here's the family fellows that you see. I mean, Ginger Perkins, Karen Halverson, um, Kevin Magnum's wife, and the bottom right there is Tina Wright, Command Sergeant Major Wright's wife. So women that have been spouses that have been around the Army for 30, 40 years to help our chapters in their family readiness. And then they have family forums at all of our events, to keep a focus on the Army family. NCO and soldier programs. This is SMA Daily's directorate, focused on soldier things. So they do Soldier Today. That's another digital publication that you may see that you get that comes out weekly as well. That's focused really on kind of E7 below. But it has great information, and I like it. I read it all the time. It's got a lot of good fun facts in it. But they do, Dan does all of the SMA's events at all of our things. So SMA Weimer's events at all of our things, Dan Daly runs. He runs our scholarship program. We get national, we give about 330,000 annually, and then our chapters give. So all said and done with the chapters plus the 330 from national, it's a little over $1 million a year in scholarships. The life skills training that is on here, that's interesting. Dan will go out to an MWR autocraft shop, and he'll bring in young soldiers that have no clue how to change the oil in their car, couldn't find the drain plug if they tried, and does two things. One, it shows them that, hey, you can do this for what, $20 at the auto craft store, keeps that MWR facility alive, right? And it trains these soldiers. He started bringing in spouses too, training spouses how to change the oil in the car. And it's also a good leadership development opportunity for the SMA to spend with these young soldiers. And then the last on here is Enhance Your Life. So now we're partnering with a lot of universities and colleges that offer certifications, tuition, and they join AUSA as a national partner. We help market their programs, and then they offer discounted certifications to service members. And these are Penn State, Arizona State, Norwich, to name. I think we have about 12 or so that have signed up. So that's growing. Let's see, our membership. I talked about this. We're gonna hit 1.9. General Brown gave me a goal of 2 million in the spring. I think we should be able to hit it. We're offering birthday specials. I tell you, this life membership, 250. So here's another thing, TFGON. You guys, are members through the association partner, but it's an association partner membership. It's not quite a premium membership. So, if you want to get a special membership pricing, now's the time to do it. And this life membership for $250, it's normally 400. I mean, we're going to make more money selling it at 250 than we were at 400. I mean, it's because people it's like going gangbusters. But you can see our individual. We have a free basic 2-year membership. It's really designed to introduce people to AUSA. They get some digital products, and then the goal is to get them to upgrade to premium. We got 2, 5-year, and life, and then our industry partnerships. Association partners is kind of in a category by itself, but our national partners, kind of those bigger companies, and then community partners are local to our chapters. I talked about our 9 regions, 122 chapters, over 2,000 volunteers. Again, they are the centerpiece of the organization. Our affinity program. So these are benefits that mostly are available to you as an association partner member. The law assure is not anymore, and this free SAT, ACT test prep material is not anymore. But we have relationships with probably 40 to 50 different companies, all sorts of things. Great savings, great benefits. It definitely, the benefits, the affinity program pays for a membership. I mean, in discounts and savings, no doubt. And I talked about our meetings. The one thing I didn't talk about because it falls under meetings is our coffee series. So again, that's an event we do here in the headquarters. It's in the morning, usually 6:30 to 8. And I mean, we serve breakfast. So it's really, and we'll bring in the chief, the secretary, the SMA. Um, we've had the ASALT. So speakers that will come in, and typically they'll take questions, and boom, you're done by 8 o'clock. You're in the office, by 9 o'clock. So that's also really popular as our coffee series. I mean, we do about 9 of those a year. So the other things that I think TFGON could potentially help is if you guys are looking for meeting space. Our conference and event center is very affordable, discounted certainly for association partners. We have 2 of them now. We just finished the 4th floor. Seats about 150. Bottom floor, first floor about 130. But state of the art AV, very, very nice. So you could definitely leverage that. We host the ASEP program, the Army Strategic Education Program, in our conference event centers. We've had not weddings, but receptions, birthday parties. I mean, this is available to the public to rent. It's a additional source of revenue for us. All right, I think that is it. So again, I think I kind of mentioned it throughout, but it's where I think TFGON, we could work together, opportunities for you to support AUSA, write, if there's things that you want to write about, supporting events, products, podcasts, use the conference and event center. We have a store, so if you want some AUSA swag, or it's got just general swag, it's got some good kid stuff, you can support our AUSA store. And if you'd like to moderate a panel, if you're interested, you got a certain area of expertise or something, and you want to serve as a panel member, just let us know. But I would just say, appreciate the partnership. And I mean, you're an influential organization that we're happy that we are partners, and look forward to working together in the future. So a little longer than I thought, but I'll stop there and answer any questions.
Jack, that was terrific, and yeah, I mean, if maybe 10, 15 minutes of Q&A with you, but yeah, very comprehensive, lot of great information there. 75 years, that's terrific that you guys are hitting. And by the way, just hitting at 252, that's pretty cool for you and for the Army.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe just to kick off some of the Q&A, just a few questions for you. My assumption would be that you work with other associations, affiliate, the Air Force, Navy, et cetera, et cetera. If you do, what kinds of projects do you work on together collaboratively?
Yeah, honestly, we don't work that much together. We meet, I would say, or it was pretty regular when General Ham was here, quarterly. General Brown has continued, but it's been less than quarterly. Where, Marine Corps, AFA, Navy League. Last time they invited Naugus, but Naugus doesn't always in there. But it's those 3 in AUSA. And it's really just to share, kind of share ideas, moan, bitch, complain, whatever together. But but in terms of events, I mean, I've been at AUSA 4 years. We haven't done anything really together. So I mean, maybe there's some opportunity there. I mean, we certainly don't see each other as competitors. I mean, it's just, we certainly could be, and I guess the area I'd say where maybe we work together is on the
Yeah.
Hill. I think that, so we're part of um, the military coalition. It's a collection of about 38, I mean, it's got MOA, it's got VFW, American Legion, it's got 38, and obviously all of the service associations are part of that. The military coalition will try to get consensus on different things, whether it's pay raises or a lot of, TRICARE issues or something like that. And that there I've seen partnerships, through government affairs where we'll sign on. We don't always agree though. We don't always sign on to things typically because they'll ask for things that are completely budgetarily unrealistic, right? We're like, we're not gonna support something that just is, not gonna in the realm of the possible. But most of the time, yeah, we do work together there. But that would be about it. There's probably opportunities there though.
No, that's what I expect. I mean, I imagine you guys work quite a bit together on the Hill on the issues that affect all service members. Hey, one of the things that TIFGON's really has a focus on is civics, giving back. And part of that too, when we have these conversations, with ourselves and all that, is like, how do you get young folks or just folks in general to join civic organizations? And even folks that have, like for us, we have a very, select, membership list. Even there, how do you get more people to join? I was kind of curious. Like, I mean, you've got a pretty aggressive goal here, going from 1.8 to 2 million. Beyond just the awesome discounts and the service you provide, how do you reach to your out to folks in the Army and get them to join?
Yeah, I would say we leverage your chapters. So again, 122 across the globe. Really, we have just opened a chapter in Guam, Japan, Korea, Hawaii, Alaska, all over the continental U.S. We're in Europe, Belgium, 3 or 4 chapters in Germany, Italy, Kuwait, UAE. And I mean, they're boots on the ground, and each of them is different, right? So the ones around major installations, or like training bases, they got maybe a certain advantage of bringing in military members. But the others, I mean, most of that 1.8 million members are not military; they're civilian. And some of them aren't even. I mean, I'm not talking government civilian; they're civilians. So that and the way that they became AUSA members was through this association partner program. I mean, that's how we grew. When I got here, we were at 200,000 4 years ago. And the way we grew rapidly was, General Brown, and we had this program, the association partner program, for a while, but they didn't really leverage it. General Ham, General McQuistion started it. They didn't really leverage it. They had a couple, kind of the ones that you would think of, the regimentals, the infantry, field artillery, all of those. But the General Brown expanded the scope. He said, "Hey, look, if you're a membership-based organization interested in a strong national defense and a strong army, then you can be a member of AUSA." And so instead of growing out member by member, and growing that way, we just started joining organizations, right? Becoming partners with organizations, and that's how we were able to grow. But I mean, growing member, by member, our premium members, our card carrying dues paying members. I mean, you're talking 70,000, out of that 1.8 million. So, and that number has been, it's gone up and down. It's gone up to about 100,000, but it basically stays around 65 to 70,000. And that's, so it was like, Jeremy Brown's like, hey, size matters. When I go up on the Hill, when the GA guy, it makes a difference, when you're talking to, Congress, how big you are. It makes a difference when you're trying to get, advertising dollars for your products, magazine, and sponsorships. So, and we're seeing that through this growth. But yeah, I would say our chapters, focus on what we've asked them to focus on really is on community partnerships. So, those local businesses, it could be a car dealer, a pizza shop, whatever, joining the chapter, and then, being mutually beneficial to where the chapter can help market that local, business, and the local business can offer some discounts to AUSA members. And that partnership is actually bringing in individual members. The basic membership we stood up 2 years ago, that no cost, and that was like, we would have chapters that would be gifting like graduating ROTC classes, a membership to AUSA. They would just pay for it out of their chapter funds. We were like, well, why do that? So we stood up this basic, no cost, 2-year membership, digital only, and that the intent was twofold. One, to try to drive our demographics, get younger folks in. Young soldiers don't know what AUSA is. I mean, I'll be honest with you, they just don't. We can't, the military, the chain of command can't talk about it like they used to, when I was a lieutenant, and it was like, I remember as a company commander, I had to brief my AUSA membership statistics in my quarterly training brief, to the brigade commander. I mean, it was that is no more, so getting these young kids, and it is a little bit, hey, what's in it for me? Getting them on board has been challenging. The other thing we wanted to do with the basic membership is remove any legal objection to us operating on installations. Because you had some garrison lawyers would be like, hey, you're soliciting. You're soliciting service members for, to pay for a membership. And so we removed that. No, we're not, because it's free. So um, and that's worked too. But that's garrison by garrison. So it's tough though. It is tough. And I think I mean, the two things that AUSA I think has done that's been pretty smart. One was this in terms of growth, and then and then I tell my membership team, yeah, your members, they may be an AUSA member because they're a member, of AFMA or AFBA. They may not even know that they're an AUSA member. They'll be like, why am I getting all this AUSA email? What is all this stuff? Um, but I challenge the membership. I mean, that's our problem, and we need to make them a valued member of the team, and reach out to them and we have, I would say, very low like unsubscribe rates. Either they're getting it and they're just trashing it, or ignoring it, or maybe some of them. We have had association partner members that have gone on to be chapter presidents in AUSA. So I mean, it does work. I mean, it's far and few between, but anyway, it's a good problem for us to have.
Yeah, that's true. Anybody else have any questions there for Jack? If not, I've always got thoughts of questions. Luke, go ahead, please.
I got one, just really a comment. Lou here again. You guys were our very first affiliate. We've got 6 now, about 9 in the hopper. You were our first one, and it was an easy sell to General Brown. I made the pitch myself, and he was delighted because I said to him, we can probably get you some admirals and generals from other services to join, and we did. We
Yeah.
need to circle back and make that aware. We promised twice a year to make a blurb in our various organs that we have. We need to do that at least twice a year to let people know that the ability to join is through our membership committee. So we will do that.
Thanks, Lou. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, AUSA it's not you don't have to be, Army Green to be an AUSA, um, and we see that a lot through Angus, mostly Angus and Naugus, to where we got a lot of Air Guard members. Not a lot, but some. But yeah, I think this was a no-brainer for the way as far as I was concerned. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You guys, small but powerful, right? You got influential, and I was like, yeah, we need to join.
Hey, Tim, I see you. Raise your hand.
Tim, you're on mute. Admiral Moon, I think we saw your hand.
Okay, there I am.
There you go.
Hey, thanks for your talk. I learned a lot, and it filled in a lot of blanks on being a Navy guy. I didn't know that much about AUSA, other than you were the big gorilla on the street when it comes to these organizations. I was I liked your comments about how you used to have to brief the statistics at when you had to talk to the brigade officer there, and it's so I'm curious how the current move to not wanting the military leadership to attend these types of things, how that's impacting you. Because
Yeah.
I've been in Navy League for a long time, and that's a scary thing coming forward.
Yeah. Yeah. When that, I think the first shot out from this administration was the Aspen, the Aspen conference out there where, no DOD briefers. And then it was Halifax. it seemed to be, and so obviously we were very concerned. The readout we're getting is it's not going to affect the service related associations. I think the message was, hey, we're not going to go talk at, Aspen, Halifax, Munich maybe next, right? I don't next summer. I don't know if they're going to participate in the Munich conference. And those do have political leanings, to some extent, but I always thought the conversation was important, and it was great to have our senior leaders out at these things, regardless of what the leaning of the organization that was running it. So we were very concerned about that, but we're getting feedback from the department that says it's not going to affect AFA, us, the Marine Corps League, Navy League. So that's good news. And we didn't see it. We didn't see it at Land Euro. Obviously, we had up in July. But it was happening around that time. So, and we're not seeing it with annual meeting. So I think we'll be okay. But yeah, it was very concerning. General Brown's top priority. What his top priority is our reputation. He's like, we don't do anything that would impact our reputation. His concerns, he's got 3 of them, but the top concern is our ability to remain apolitical and nonpartisan. It is just so tough these days. We had an article in the Army magazine. The Army came out with its climate strategy. It's like, okay, and they were tasked by, OSD, come up, all the services I think were. And so Army magazine had an article about climate strategy. We had people, it was probably less than 10, but we had probably, people call in, canceling their membership. AUSA is woke. What are you doing talking about, climate change and global warming and all that? And we were just reporting the news on the Army's climate strategy. But it's just so hard these days, to remain that. But it is, when that came out about Aspen and Halifax and all that, we were concerned, but we were also fairly confident because of our apolitical, nonpartisan stance that we'd be okay. So anyway, yeah, that would be because just 60%, 65% of our annual revenue comes from annual meeting. And when you don't have annual meeting, that crushes us. Luckily, during COVID, when we didn't have it, we had a virtual one, 2020. It was before I got here. We had event insurance that covered us because, but they're not doing that anymore. You can't get that insurance anymore. So part of the one of the original things that looking at the leadership, the corporate leadership program from our Center for Leadership was to try to diversify our revenue, generation. Can't all come from one event. So it's slow in coming. We just had our first customer, and it won't generate the dollars like an annual meeting will, but every little bit helps. That's the other thing that is interesting about AUSA is that whoever came up with it and said, hey, we're going to earn our money through these events, and not necessarily membership dues. Our membership revenue, annual revenue, pales in comparison to the event revenue, which allows us to be able to kind of play with things, right? We can do a free basic membership. We can do these association partners where you guys don't, there's no money exchanged. So that it gives us a lot of flexibility, but it also has its weaknesses as well.
Yeah, that's great. Any other questions?
If Ed has one.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, thank you very much, man. I learned a ton. There's all kinds of things I didn't know about AUSA. So thank you. And good on you to go from 200,000 to 1.9 million.
Yeah.
And where y'all taking the organization. I was curious though, like what's over the horizon? What are your stretch goals? What would you like to see the organization do that you're not doing right now if you had more people or more money or more time or?
Yeah. Obviously growing membership is something that we want to continue to do. I think in General Brown's mind, the million mark was kind of the key. I mean, yeah, because there was a time, I said, sir, we got to slow down, because, we have three people in our member support, the folks answering the phones, right? When we had three people at 200,000, we had three people at 1 million, something ain't gonna work here. And we ended up adding some, just actually only one person, but we did build that up. But also the data, the accuracy of the database, the cleanliness of the data. So I asked them, hey, let's put a little pause on it. And so, we've slowed down, but we still want to grow. I mean, I really want to grow premium members, right? I mean, that's, those are the folks that have skin in the game, that are paying, dues. So that is something that, that we want to continue. Like things like the Center for Leadership, a stretch goal would be where Center for Leadership instruction, and a soldier can use as promotion points, like they do for higher education, right? If they get high, college credits, they can get so many promotion points for college credits. And then when they go to the that allows them to go to the promotion board, get promoted. I would like to see, similar to like other associations, like, if you're an engineer, the engineer, or my daughter's a doctor, AMA, these, or the CPAs that their associations provide accreditation. I would like to see kind of some sort of leadership accreditation provided by the Center for Leadership that the Army would recognize in some way, shape, or form. Probably not going to happen. But again, you're asking, what's kind of, in terms of, at least from my perspective, what I'd like to see. I'm concerned about events. I just mentioned our reliance on events for revenue. 10 years down the road now, are people gonna be physically going to trade shows? I don't know. I mean, during COVID, we were like, holy shit, are we even gonna come back? Getting together, and thank God we did. But 10 years down the road, AI with virtual, with maybe those things go away, and that would be a big problem, obviously, for AUSA. So we got to think about that. Even shorter term on that in the meeting space, we're out of space at the Washington Convention Center. We can't. We have 100 companies on the wait list to exhibit. They can't get in, and they're paying $7,000 to be a national partner, so that because it's a requirement to exhibit. There are exceptions, but for the most part, you have to be a national partner to exhibit at the annual meeting. So you come in, yeah, I want to exhibit. Here's my $7,000, and then you get put on a wait list. It's a problem. But we just can't. I don't see us moving it out of DC. I mean, I just don't think. I mean, we're just going to have to figure out. It'll be maybe a campus style meeting, right? Where you have the convention center, got local hotels around. Maybe it's the Gaylord, and we're shuttling people back and forth to the Gaylord, but we're out of space. Yeah, so that's a couple things. I mean, I mean, I think, the growth has been good, but I would like to, see some quality kind of, coming out of things like, we're doing with you guys, or, an association partner member, should know that they're a member of AUSA, and I would tell you, just honestly, there's probably a lot of that 1.9 million that, still don't because the way we run it is the association, you guys should probably do the same thing. You go out to your members, say, hey, we're going to join into this partnership with AUSA. If you do not want to, get this free membership with AUSA, you can opt out. And we see very few opt outs, right? People don't read their email. If it's an opt in, it's the exact, so if it's an opt out, you'll see maybe 2 to 3% that opt out. If it's an opt in, you'll see about 2 to 3% that opt in.
And that's the way it is with us, because we had to negotiate that with John Brown to be an opt-in, because we don't share our membership without them agreeing to it.
That's right.
So it's relatively small.
And and with you, I mean, there was a couple exceptions that we made, and did an opt-in. You were one of them. Naugus was another one. Naugus, they couldn't get their board to agree to an opt-out. And Quad Quad A was another one that was an opt-in, but I think that's the only 3 of the 52 that are opt-in. I mean, if you're a small, like I'm an ordnance guy, my Ordnance Corps Association, maybe 500 in the association. It's a good deal, right? You get access to all these benefits, you get discounts on, going to events. I mean, it's just a good deal for some of these smaller. And then the real growth was with some of the kind of non-traditional. So like AFMA, AFBA, the AFMA's 90,000, AFBA is 400,000. Yeah, so those were like that shot our numbers way up. But I'm sure that those members, AFMA's pretty good. Meese does a really good job of letting his people know, but AFBA probably not so much. But
By the way, on the annual meeting, we have a restaurant that we're booking. We have 2 corporate sponsors that are getting together. We're probably going to have something on the Wednesday evening in a restaurant.
oh,
So we'll
awesome.
see if that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, Lou, I think the center's just so expensive.
Yeah.
It's just, and you got to use their food and beverage, and it's just a lot of our chapters that used to do receptions at annual meeting have moved out. And I mean, we can't really do anything to help them. I mean, we could give them money, I guess, but
Yeah.
but it's I think, the relationship, AUSA and TFGON's great relationship was very important to us due to kind of your strategic kind of nature to have your members be AUSA members. So I think we got, what is your membership now in TFGON? I mean, I'm a member, but
Just under 2,200.
okay.
About 5 under.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
1,300 when we had TFCon 2.0 in 2017. We purified our database. We found we had really only 1,368 real people, and now we've almost added 1,000 to it.
That's awesome. That's awesome because it's a small population, right? That you're picking for. That's eligible. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Jackie. Hey, thanks again. I really appreciate you spending time with us today, and congratulations again on 75 years. And thank you again for the affiliation.
Absolutely.
Lou, I'm gonna double check. I want to say that I'm now an affiliate member and I opt in, but I'm gonna double check. I've got a daughter who's doing SAT prep, so I just saw your offer. So, but that's not the only reason.
That's only available for premium members, so you're gonna have to pony up it's only $30 for a 2-year membership.
Yeah, it might be worth it
for a life.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it. And for those that participated, and I really do appreciate that too. And we'll hang it on the website for those that can watch later and learn a bit more about AUSA. So, Jack, thanks again.
All right. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Lou, do you